Chancellor, Pro-Vice-Chancellor, distinguished guests, graduates, graduands. A vivid sense of theatre imagery, an ability to make heightened speech seem natural and natural speech exciting and full of energy, a shrewd sense of local and national politics, a canny appreciation of the practicalities of the theatre business and insight into the needs of both actors and audiences. In other words, of the factors that make theatre vivid and relevant in the world around it. All these are, of course, the distinguishing qualities of a quintessential theatre worker, William Shakespeare. And to rise to the challenge of his scripts, a theatre director in our own world needs to have much more than a smack of all of these qualities. Barbara Gaines is just such a person. Since she founded the Chicago Shakespeare Theater in 1986, she has directed more than 30 of Shakespeare's plays with a flair and incisiveness that command respect for her and her team internationally, as well as within the United States and, of course, Chicago. Together with the company's executive, Barbara has established a remarkable cultural center in the Navy Pier in Chicago's downtown lakefront. In the 500-seat thrust stage courtyard theatre and the black box upstairs theatre, the CST has the range of facilities we associate nowadays with the needs of both companies and audiences. Space to experiment on different scales, to explore new and old plays with the kind of freedom that makes them inform each other, and to reach audiences with performances that are at once innovative in approach and attentive to what the texts can yield. The CST's education programs and its family and international programming initiatives have extended its reach to the community, while the CST for $20 initiative brings under 25s to the theatre. They estimate that 1 in 4 of their visitors are under the age of 18. This kind of diversity in a theatre's demographic is the aim of all companies nowadays, on both sides of the Atlantic, and especially that other side of this enterprise which involves retaining audiences beyond the age of 18. This kind of diversity is valuable and hard to achieve. It calls for energy and imagination in securing funding, as well as in devising and delivering the programs themselves. Theatres do not live by box office alone, but it does help. And in the United States, where not-for-profit arts organizations depend even more heavily on subscriber schemes and private and corporate sponsorship, leadership of the kind given by Barbara and her colleagues is indispensable. To be a complete person of the theatre in Shakespeare's time called for skills that were not dissimilar. Balancing the demands of royal and aristocratic patrons, pleasing in the meantime the paying audiences, keeping an eye on production budgets, coping with the needs, real and sometimes perceived, of the actors and authors. Plus ça change, plus c'est la même chose. And then there are the shows themselves. Reviewers are, well, reviewers. But they tell the story admirably. To take a few examples, in 1999, when Barbara directed Antony and Cleopatra, the Chicago Sun-Times commented on the vivid geometry of her work. Surely, the critic wrote, at play here in this dark, shadowy, gilt-edged production that deftly contrasts the differing contours of feminine and masculine power than that hints at role-playing engaged in by both sexes in love and war. Wonderful to put that on a poster if you've got room for it. The Chicago Tribune praised the striking stage pictures, from a spotlighted embrace for the two lovers to a full military force marshalled for the Roman scenes. In a 1996 Hamlet, her staging, again to quote a critic, be it the sole figure of Hamlet etched in a spotlight or in the swift, terrifying thrusts of the duel scene, made the old story come alive with new images. In All's Well That Ends Well, in 2000, the play opened with a funeral and a snowstorm as the mourners moved about in a swirl of Victorian grey and slate-black costumes straight out of the pages of Dickens. And in King John in 2004, she showed what the Sun-Times identified as her well-known penchant for making Shakespeare feel immediate. Here, to quote the critic again, "The theatre was decked with Union Jacks and French tricolores, the long thrust platform with red and white runners. Security men with earphones and dark suits prowled the stage." When you read these reviews, you can see, and again, to be fair, wish you could have seen, these extraordinary visual interpretative feats. When Michael Pennington, a great English Shakespearean actor and director, founder with Michael Bogdanov of the English Shakespeare Company, directed Twelfth Night for Barbara's company, a reviewer noted that he evidently shared her, to quote, "determination to make Shakespeare's language sound like human speech." How often has one encountered actors who could actually do it the other way round, unfortunately? Vivid stage pictures that respond to contemporary sensibilities while being rooted in the scripts, and that last note, determination to make the language sound real, those are qualities that have made Barbara Gaines and the company she leads potent forces in the theatre within and beyond Chicago. One imagines she would soon have made herself at home in Shakespeare's own theatre world, though of course that was an exclusively male preserve, so like the heroine of Shakespeare in Love, she'd have had to do it in drag. Now, come to think of it, being a distinguished woman of the theatre wasn't an option now, nor is it that easily achieved now. There may be some way to go, but we can at least claim that in some respects we have reformed the theatre more than indifferently. To list the achievements, personal and institutional, of Barbara Gaines and the company would last out a night in Russia, where nights are longest there. There's the Regional Theatre Tony Award, 3 Oliviers, a total of 70 Joseph Jefferson Awards, named for the American actor whose greatest 19th century American actor whose greatest role was Rip Van Winkle, and more. And the CST has been developing closer links with this university, including the first internship, and one hopes and expects of a series with the company undertaken by a student from this university. Barbara Gaines's achievements even include, it has to be admitted, casting my distinguished colleague, Professor Michael Dobson, the director of the Shakespeare Institute, as King Henry VIII. But fitter time for that. Chancellor, to you and to the university, I present Barbara Gaines, Artistic Director of the Chicago Shakespeare Theater, for the degree of Doctor of the University, honoris causa.
By virtue of my authority as Chancellor, I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Letters, honoris causa. Many congratulations.
Down come the microphones. Chancellor, members of the faculty, family, friends, and graduates, congratulations. It is a tremendous honor for me and pleasure receiving this honorary doctorate of letters from Birmingham University, a place of rigorous scholarship and enlightenment, and a place that is deeply respected all over the world. Thank you for this extraordinary honor, one that I will always cherish. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know if you know it, but Chicago is a sister city to Birmingham. The two cities share several bonds, each one being in the middle of their own country, the Midlands and the Midwest. Both cities are known for their broad shoulders and very big hearts. And finally, both celebrate every day the greatest humanist, our Shakespeare. So while we may not know each other personally, we do have a lot in common. Congratulations to all you graduates. You have worked so hard to achieve so much. I actually looked up the word graduate the other day. It has been so long since I've been a graduate. And the dictionary said it was a person who had completed a course of study. Well, I kind of thought that this definition was odd, metaphorically, because the word completion is just not one I would ever connect to the study of Shakespeare or life. To complete seems quite antithetical to our journey, for when one part of an adventure is completed, another one pops up. Perhaps we should exchange, I don't know, the word completing to say every course that you took and every experience that you've had here is just to be continued. For every answer you find is going to lead to another question, to another journey, to another cliff that must be jumped off of. Now, that's exciting to me, continuing. It's thrilling because there are no ends to the mysteries of life, to the mysteries within you, to the mysteries within Shakespeare. My life's work has been the investigation of the human condition through Shakespeare. Why do we behave the way we do? Why are some people better at breaking up than others? And other people can barely be concerned about massacring another person's heart. These are questions that interest me and actually haunt my life. I'm continually struggling and searching for answers. And just when I think I have one, it slips away and a more challenging question takes its place. Sometimes I've got more questions than knowledge, more doubts than answers, and certainly more information than wisdom. I'm reminded, however, of probably my favorite line in Shakespeare from Cymbeline. He says, "For all other doubts, the doubts you have about your life, for all other doubts, in time, let them be cleared. Fortune brings in some boats that are not steered." So sometime in the future, you may think that your life has taken a turn for the worse. Unexpected events may derail your dreams. Then you just have to think about this line from Cymbeline, for it speaks to all of us quite personally, especially now as you continue the next part of your journey. In your worst moments of self-doubt, Shakespeare suggests that there may be an invisible thread which will lead you in a totally new direction, which may in fact take you exactly where you belong. If I hadn't, as a young actress, injured my knee, had been unable to walk for 18 months, and hadn't been forced into teaching Shakespeare to actors to pay my rent, Chicago Shakespeare Theater would never have been born. I thought I was drowning, but I was just really being pulled to shore, really going home, much against my will at the time. And finally, this is what I wish for all of you. Find the courage to find a job you love. Ask questions, challenge yourself and everybody else. Change is interesting. Change will follow you at your heels, no matter how you try and prevent it. Change is relentless, it's a life force, and if you can be flexible, which I actually think is one of the secrets of life, change can be your best friend. I leave you with a thought from Sean O'Casey. If one loves life, one welcomes change, because love always seeks different ways of giving of itself. To all you graduates, congratulations, and rock on.